And we're back here at Boom and Bust having a conversation with Peter Deeb. He is the chairman and CEO of Hampton Financial Corp in Toronto. Peter, you mentioned earlier the Israel-Gaza conflict as it pertains to Saudi Arabia, Emirates, perhaps. Can you give us a sense of what you're picking up on the wider impact of that conflict?
Thanks, Tony, for that question. Look, it's drawn everyone's attention in the region. There are a lot of what I call more pragmatic voices coming out of the Gulf region these days than used to. The vitriol isn't there as it used to be. Everyone's looking for a real solution, a real humanitarian solution that brings peace to that region. And I think they're doing it in a very constructive manner. They're not openly trying to take sides in this. They're looking at ways that both can bring this to an end, stop the killing, and bring some semblance of peace and restoration to the region. But it does seem to have brought them all together to look for a real solution.
Yeah, that's what it's interesting you should say that, because that's what I've noticed as well. I mean, there are some rhetorical flashbacks, let's put it that way. But really, we've seen enhanced diplomatic activity by the Qataris, by Saudi Arabia, by Egypt in a way that we really haven't seen in conflicts in decades gone by. And in a sense, it's a very mature position they're taking. Have you noticed that too?
Yeah, it's very true. It's a new approach for sure. I only hope that they speed it up and they get a resolution quickly so this can come to an end. But looking forward down the road, they may actually be able to pull this off with a regional solution, as opposed to one that the West has been, involving itself in for 60 years. So we'll have to see.
We will indeed. And let's talk about the U.S. a little bit, because, of course, they are embroiled, I don't know what other word to use, in the Middle Eastern situation, also Ukraine, also Taiwan, also elsewhere. Is that sustainable from your point of view?
You're speaking about the Gulf involvement, the Saudi involvement?
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the U.S. involvement in
right.
in that region, as well as Ukraine, Taiwan, etc.
Right now, it appears that NATO in general and the U.S. specifically has been deliberately disengaged from what's going on in Southeast Asia and the China-Taiwan matter and some of the other stuff in that region. People are just not asking them. They've literally just ignored them and gone on doing what they're doing. We don't know where that goes. We're hoping that results in direct dialogue between these Asian nations to come to a solution that's homegrown. That's one coming out of their region, and they can, they'll be able to figure out. So I'm not overly pessimistic about Southeast Asia right now. I think they have a lot of level heads across the governments in that place, and they don't necessarily need Western involvement to come to a solution.
Gotcha.
They're better off without it.
Yeah, I hear you on that. And let's talk a little bit about Biden and China. Obviously, as we're recording this, there is a meeting that will be taking place between President Xi and President Biden in San Francisco. Are they going to come up with kind of a working dialogue on some of these issues, or is that a faint hope at this point?
No, call me a cynic. I think this is more for the cameras, and they're probably going to come out with some major statement on the environment, on environmental collaboration of some sort. But I don't think you're going to see any resolution to any of the major issues. There's a lot of damage in that relationship, and nobody's really figured out what they want from each other and figured out a way to ask for it. So, not too optimistic there.
Yeah, and obviously there's still the trade disputes, semiconductors and other enhanced dual-use manufacturing. They haven't solved that problem either. Is that right?
No, that's very true. And it's problematic because there's so much integration in everything from the supply chain to transfer of technology agreements between the producers and China that you can't just overnight hit the brakes on it. So there's no shortage of risk coming from that particular issue, and to date, there's no solution.
Are you surprised how weak the Chinese economy has been in the last year?
Look, it was bound to cool off. I mean, it's been a rocket from a growth standpoint for most of the last 20 years.
Mhm.
They're having financial issues as well. They learned how to pile on debt from us. We taught them obviously a good lesson. Now they're coping with the ramifications. I mean, their banks are levered up. The real estate sector is leveraged up beyond any
Right.
sense of reason. So it was bound to take a toll on the economy, and they're slowing. They will slow. They may go into a negative growth.
We've got to take another break. Peter, we'll be back with you after that break. Please stay with us.